What is up, everybody? It is Og here, back with another video, and today I was hoping to be able to bring you the SG1 pool video, but unfortunately the PTR did go down before I was able to get content for that, and so I was trying to farm the dagger, and ultimately I did not get that. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to make a quick video going over everything that you need to know before we get started with ZG for the Mage farm, and this is obviously going to be viable for at least a few weeks as one of the best gold farms out there, and so I wanted to go over the important things. We're going to go through how you actually get there, why it's going to be lucrative, and everything like that, when the mobs are going to go live, how you can reset, the best way to be able to kill the mobs, and everything of that nature. So definitely stay tuned for the rest of the video. There's going to be timestamps linked down below, but let's jump into it. And if you want to see this live, I'm going to be streaming ZG all the time once it drops, just to be able to farm those Bijous right off the bat and to help out anybody. And I'm also going to be making my own one pool video once it actually does go live, or I can get some footage again. So definitely tune into the Twitch link down below. So we'll start off with when it actually goes live. So ZG goes live at 12:01 a.m. Central European Standard Time on Thursday, April 16th. So what does that mean for people in the US? That means 6 p.m. Eastern in the United States. So the eastern side of the United States, 6 p.m. West Coast will be 3 p.m. and it's going to go live. How to get there? You go over to Stranglethorn Vale, and on the top right side is Zul'Gurub. Now this is going to be packed when this goes live. You need to be in a raid group to get in, so make sure your people are ready to get into a raid group, especially if you're on a PvP server, else you might just get farmed outside the instance. But make sure that you're right here, because it is just probably going to be crashing servers, I imagine, because tons of people are going to be flooding there, whether it be mages to go farm or people for raids. So the second biggest thing, why are people going to be farming this? That's going to be to collect Bijous and coins. I'll have a link to this page down here, but basically you can use Bijous and coins to turn them in for honor tokens, which are going to give you rep with the Zandalar tribe, which can get you shoulder enchants. It's undetermined how much these are going to go for. It's completely speculative. I expect that they're going to be going for the coins in the single digits, middle single digits, and for the blue actual Bijous, probably about 20 gold on the first release day. And that's because I've even had some people in my stream say that they're willing to drop 5k gold as soon as it drops, just so they can get Exalted and start getting those enchants. So this is why people are going to be farming it. So if we do some quick math, it's going to take 42,000 rep to go from neutral to Exalted. If you're getting 125 rep per Bijou, you get 75 rep per green, 3 greens, and so about 25 rep per green. So you could do it for greens if you want to calculate that as well. But at 125 rep per Bijou, which is the blue one, we're looking at approximately 336 Bijou turn-ins to go from neutral to Exalted. Now, the very first quest actually gives you a little bit of extra bonus experience, so it's probably going to be about 334 to 335, but it's a rough estimate of how many Bijous you're actually going to need to go from neutral to Exalted if that's what you'd like to do. So a lot of people are very curious about what kind of gear do you need to be able to do this pool, and so I want to go through the gear that I'm going to be using for this exact pool, and it's spoiler alert, you don't need crazy good gear. And so here, walking through my gear that I have right now, I have a couple pieces of T1 and one piece of T2. But outside of that, we're pretty much just rolling with as much intellect and stamina as we can get. We're doing, some little bit of crit pieces here and there with like Tempest Talisman, just so we can get that extra crit chance on the Flame Strike Cone of Cold and things like that. But the majority of the gear, you're just stacking as much intellect and stamina as possible. Most of this you can get off the auction house and things like that. What you want to make sure that you do is, before you do the run, make sure you have about the same amount of mana as I have. So I have 6,500. I'd recommend having about 6,500. If you can get more, that's great. If you're a gnome, you're going to crush way past 6,500. But try to get about 6,500 mana. And outside of that, just try to get, a little bit of spell power, but mainly intellect and stamina. The majority of the gear that you can get, you could just go straight into Scalo, run like 3 Scala runs, and you're going to have enough gear. This farm is not going to be crazy. It's helpful to have the dagger just to speed it up so you can do more than just rank 1 Cone of Cold and things like that. But you do not need crazy gear to be able to pull this off. Now, as far as some of the consumables that you're going to need, the consumables are going to be really kind of dependent on whether you're doing solo or duo farm. So if you're doing solo farm, you're going to need more consumables just because there's a higher RNG chance. But if you're doing duo, you really don't need many consumables at all, potentially if any, once you get it down. But for solo, you definitely need a lot more. And so everyone is going to need light feathers. There's going to be at least one jump, depending on your strategy, where you're going to need a light feather. So every single run, you're going to be using light feathers. Make sure you stock up on those before it drops, because there's a very good chance that the H will not have them be populated. The second thing that you're going to need if you're doing it solo is going to be limited and vulnerability potions. So limited and vulnerability potions will allow you to come out of block without taking any damage, and they're also going to allow you to keep safe when things go wrong. These Crocs can actually put a slow on you that massively slows you, and it's probably going to lead to death, because that means that you're going to get hit more. And so, one, it's good to be able to get out of that if you're in them. But two, popping a limited and vulnerability potion can allow you to live that little bit to last. At the end of the day, this is going to be a very time-dependent gold farm, so you don't want to be wasting time dying as you go. So I highly recommend just invest in lips. They're going to be worth it 100%. Go ahead and get them. Next consumable I would recommend is a major healing potion. Make sure you have those ready to go in the event that you do get hit a lot. You definitely want to have some heals. Additionally, you want to have some bandages, and so those would be good to have. If you're an engineer, definitely make sure you have grenades. You don't need thorium or anything like that, but definitely have some iron grenades ready to go in order to be able to live just a little bit longer, stun them if necessary, and things like that. One of the most frequently asked questions that I get is, which talents should you run for the ZG farm? And now for the talent build itself, what we really want to be focusing on is getting back as much mana as possible while focusing on our shatter specs. Now the Blizzard is going to be useful when we need to slow mobs and kind of get them coalesced together and things like that. But as far as doing actual damage, the damage is really going to come from our shatter combos. And we're going to be going into the exact kill rotation, how you should be killing these mobs in just a second. But to dive down through the spec real quick, we want to get 2 points into elemental precision. These are level 60 Crocs, which means if you get 2 points in elemental precision, you should have the resist cap and you should be good to go. Then we want to jump into frost warding, get 2 out of 2 in frost warding to get that extra armor. Dive down through our kind of normal build with blizzard and ice shards and things like that, but we're going to skip over piercing ice, and we're only going to get 2 points into frost channeling. Reason being, we want to get down into the fire tree in order to get master of the elements, and we also want to get burning soul in the event that there's a resist on one of our Novas, just to make sure that we're not getting knocked back on Flame Strike too much. So Master of the Elements is going to give 30% of the base mana cost of a Fire and Frost spell critical back, which is going to be imperative for maintaining mana while doing Flame Strike, Cone of Cold, Shatter combos to get the kills. And so we're going to be going over the rotation in just a second and how you can actually kind of focus on keeping up your mana high while doing the most output possible as far as damage goes. I'll have this spec link down below. Feel free to tool with it as much as you want to kind of tailor it towards your own needs. If you're running a duo strat, you could probably go for more damage and less mana just because you're going to be able to burn through the mobs a little bit quicker. But tailor this towards your own needs, but this is kind of the generic spec that I'm kind of thinking for solo pulling ZG. So as far as the kill rotation goes, I want to show you this little clip. Now, unfortunately, this is not going to be a solo. It's going to be duo from my video on the duo farm, which I have linked up above. But this is going to show you kind of the idea of how you're going to be killing the mobs, and we can kind of walk through exactly how we want to kill these Crocs. And so here we get an unlucky resist, but that's fine. If you get a resist, don't worry about it. Just make sure that you get them back into the pack. But here we're going to open up with the Flame Strike, Cone of Cold, and then we're going to be kiting around in a circle. What you want to be doing is you want to be strafing and using your kind of, Cone of Cold kite strat to kind of keep them as grouped as possible. Do not be spamming any arcane explosions in between unless you have the dagger. But what you want to do is you actually want to use rank 1 Cone of Cold instead of max rank Cone of Cold there. Now, reason being, you can see here that we only got 1 crit out of 9 spells, it looks like. Which means that if you're not getting crits, you're really using a lot of your mana just to do that little bit of extra damage. Whereas when we get them into a Shatter Cone of Cold, we're actually going to do a ton of damage. So here we're going to freeze them. You want to wait until you have 4 seconds left on your Frost Nova. You can see up here that we have 4 seconds left on our Frost Nova. Do a Flame Strike and max rank Cone of Cold with your max damage. Now what this is going to do is amplify the critical strike chance, which is going to amplify the damage of your Cone of Cold, and you can see much more of my spells were crits there. And what ends up happening is that as we're going around in a circle, you're going to be able to do a lot more damage during those Novas while conserving mana in the downtime with rank 1 Cone of Cold. Rank 1 Cone of Cold is exceptionally cheaper than max rank Cone of Cold, and for the extra, 350 damage that you're going to be doing, it's much better to be able to save that extra chunk of mana that you can then use to do an entire extra shatter combo later on in the fight. Ultimately, it's going to probably take you, I would say, about 4 to 5 shatter combos to get through the entire fight. And so this is going to allow you, if you don't have maximum mana, like 7,500 or 8,000 or something like that, something huge, you can still do this as long as you use that Flame Strike Cone of Cold with the rank 1 Cone of Cold when not frozen combo to kite them around in a circle. Also use your iron grenades, use mana gems, always have mana gems ready to go when you're soloing, and have evocate if things really go wrong. So I was unfortunately not able to record, obviously, my kill rotation itself for solo, but I wanted to go ahead and make this quick graph just to show you the idea that I had for solo. Now, Fear Street does have a good video on his channel, which I'll link up above, that you guys can kind of look, and what he does is does 1 through 3, and he has a really good strat for how to pool the second group, but you can go ahead and check that out as far as just seeing this individual pool. But as far as the actual pool that I'm going to be doing, I wanted to show this real quick. And so the very first pool that we're going to be doing is the same exact one as we did in the video before, and that's these 2 packs right here. So right after the bridge, you have a pack on your left, and that's going to be the first Crocs and the second Crocs. You jump across the slow fall to aggro them all together, and then you can take out all these right in this little space. The next pack, we're going to come back up onto this ramp, come up here, jump off with a slow fall, potentially, grab these 2 groups, and then you can come back over here and kill them over here again, which is a great strat mentioned by Fear Street. Now, you may aggro the mobs up top, flying serpent-like mobs. If you do, you can have a reset spot right by the tree on the bottom here for those mobs themselves. So you can get them reset, and then you can just pull these 2 groups. The important part is to take them into an open area, because when you're soloing, you're going to need a bit of an open area. For kill number 3, there's 2 Crocs on either side of the water. You're going to be killing these 2 groups. I actually recommend killing them right where they are to save time. In Fear Street's video, he does drag them all the way back to the first spot again for the kill spot, but I find that that does add a decent bit of time to the run itself, and so I recommend just killing them where they are. And then for the 4th spot, this is actually where you're going to make the large chunk of your money, and that's going to be the cats right here. With the cats is always going to be, as far as every single time I've seen it, an herb and an ore, and so that's going to be a thorium ore, and it's going to be an herb right there. That herb, once you have the blood scythe, gives you the opportunity to get Bloodvine, which can sell very, very well. It's going to be one of the most lucrative opportunities for making gold. And then obviously you can get Arcanite crystals out of the thorium ore. And then, of course, it has the Blood Scythe location, so you can get Blood Scythe and get that going as soon as you get started with the farm. And so I highly recommend coming up and trying to kill the cats. Now, you have 15 minutes to do the entirety of these pools, which gives you pretty much 3 to 4 minutes per pool, which should be plenty of time. I recommend that you use a lip right here for pool number 3. But the rest of them, and probably number 4, potentially a lip as well. Definitely a block on number 4 and likely a block on number 3. But the rest of them, you should be good to go without either. This is going to allow you to maximize your gold per hour that you're making. You should be able to do this in about 15 minutes, so 4 times an hour, and make a very good amount of gold. The very last thing I wanted to go over is how to actually reset the instance. And so a lot of people have been asking, if I clear the instance, can I still do the Crocolisks? And the short answer is no. If you kill a boss, the mobs aren't going to be able to be reset using this strategy. So definitely recommend doing this before you get started. Now, the good news is that the very first clear actually has a reset the day after it goes live, which means that, it's going to go live and then it's going to reset very shortly after that, which means you can get in the croc farming, or you can do a full clear the very first day. And then you're assuming that the people don't want to come back in there for that second reset until the end. So you should have a good few days just to get started, but I definitely do not recommend killing any bosses on your mage until you're done with the farm for that 3-day rotation or that 3-day reset, unless you don't want to be able to kill the crocs. So the way that we're going to reset is that we're going to use our second tune on that same account to reset. And so what you can do is that you can have a friend invite your all. And so here we're going to log into my second account just as my friend to be able to show us. So I'm going to log into Bank, and this is just going to be one of your friends or a guildie or anybody you can ask. You invite them to the group, or they invite you. Either one works. So now they have in the group. You toss them lead. Now what you do is you go on to your alt. You get your alt in the group. They toss you lead on your alt. And then you just have your mage and your alt in that same group. And that's all you need. Now, once you have just those 2 tunes in the group, what you do is that you log on to your alt, and after 2 minutes, lead will automatically transfer to your alt. And so even if your lead has main, or even if your 60 mage has main, after 2 minutes, your alt will automatically have lead. You hit the reset, and you're right back at the start of ZG with a fresh instance. Again, this only works if you do not kill any of the bosses, so make sure that you aren't killing any of the bosses. But this will allow you to reset all the mobs in ZG. It works exactly as an instance when you haven't killed any bosses, and get right back into it. And so if you're doing 13 to 15 minute runs, you're going to be able to do 4 an hour and get a ton of loot using this strategy. All right, everyone, that wraps up today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, please subscribe and leave a like and a comment below to let me know so. And if you guys have any other ideas for any other videos, please let me know in the comments below. Also, check out the description for the Twitch where I do all this live, and also for my Twitter and Discord where you guys can be notified of any future updates and when I'm going to go live on stream. So I'll see you guys in the next video.